Welcome to another episode of Parenting Teens Advice Redefined, the WTF solo series. Welcome to Friday, or whatever you want to interpret it as. I'm your host, Cheryl Pankhurst, and I'm here to not just have just any episode. This is episode number 100 for me and Parenting Teens Advice Redefined, and I am so freaking excited to share this with you. I'm going to dedicate this episode to the actual podcast, My Why, and to you. You know, if it wasn't for the listeners, if it wasn't for the engagement and the questions and, the people behind the scenes cheering me on and supporting me, this never would have happened. So I'm going to start this with, I dedicate this whole episode to my listeners, my YouTube watchers, my followers, my closest friends. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing and growing with me. To my closest circle of supporters, Gabby, Andre, Celeste, and everyone else. You know who you are, for supporting me and always just being the one to keep going. And Gabby, who also doubles as my editor and my creative partner. This podcast would not exist without you. So in order to dedicate this to the podcast, I'm going to start with the journey. It started October 13th, 2023, and it has been scary and foreign and educational and brings me such joy and just fills my soul, honestly. And the first few episodes to this, I don't know if you had tuned into the first 5 or 6, they were solo episodes. And oh my gosh, I had so many strategies because I was so nervous. I did like 30 takes, not like the WTF now, no edits, uncut, it's done. But back then, it was a whole different learning curve. I even had pictures of my kids on the computer screen, so I would feel like I wasn't talking into the abyss. Maybe somebody might be listening. And then after a few of those episodes, I discovered the interview process and started getting expert guests on the show about all different really challenging topics. Some were fun, some were very raw, hard conversations, but conversations that needed to be had. And so the magic of that is the energy of having two people whose main goal through a whole conversation is to help somebody. And when you pick up on that energy, when you're talking to somebody, it just comes, I think, right through on the screen, and it doesn't even feel like an interview. It just feels like this amazing conversation. And so then came the WTF. So interviews are all about expert guests and what they offer my listeners and what they bring to the table. And so the show is about them. But, when you're a podcaster, you kind of want to say your own thing and get your own opinion in there. So WTF came to be. And that is the short Friday episodes that I am just going to riff on anything and everything. And today is obviously going to be the podcast. In the last year and a half, we have covered such a spectrum of human experiences for parents and teens. We've done stand-up comedy, homeschooling, suicide, grief and loss, supporting the LGBTQ plus community, divorce, co-parenting, child trafficking, neurodiversity, trauma healing, screens and tech, sex and more sex, advocating for parents and advocating in the school system challenges, and the hard truths that come with it. And if any of those strike you, certainly go back into the history, and there's more to come. Why did I start this podcast? I spent 25 years in education, and specifically in special education in the high school. And in that time, there's so much became very obvious to me. Number one, there are some very good points about the public school system, but there are also some gaps and some heartbreak and some very missed opportunities. And as I continued to support families, what I noticed was there's a lot of black and white thinking in the educational system. And when it comes to special education, it's all about the gray area. You're always having to think outside the box. And when you are working with some organizations that don't think outside the box, that it's black and white and 1 + 1 is 2 and that's all there is to it, it's very difficult to be able to help kids learn the way they need to learn and give parents a voice in the school that they don't know that they have. A lot of parents didn't know, based on their documentation or based on diagnosis, what they could ask for in the school and what they were entitled to in the school. And so there was this gap. And so I thought, it's time for me to try and fill this gap. I just retired early so that I could just have my voice and take the filter off. I want people to understand that we're not just raising kids. We're raising humans, resilient, compassionate, emotionally aware, critical thinkers into this world. We're not just raising kids. We aren't parenting the way we were parented. Times have changed, and it's time for us to change right along with them. And I'm here to support that. To every guest I've had, you have taught me, you have moved me, you have challenged me. Many of you have become friends. And when you're in the podcast community, we all have something in common where we know the grind and we know the gift. And we also know that quitting is just never an option. There's just way too much joy in this. So just recently, it had kind of come to my attention that there is a secondary benefit to having a podcast. So not only can I bring on experts to speak about specific, really tough topics, and the purpose of that, of course, is parents listening. They know they're not alone. They know their strategies. They know there's help. They can reach out to me. They can reach out to my guest expert. But I was thinking the other day, and anyone who has been in my community for any amount of time knows that I lost my dad a couple of years ago. 921 days, I believe, but who's counting? And if anyone, if you've lost a parent or lost anyone, there are days, we probably miss them every day in some way, but there are days where I could really miss him so deeply. And what I would do is turn to my phone and turn to the videos. And I could hear his voice and I could see his mannerisms and I could listen to him laugh, which he did all the time. And it was honestly the most comforting thing for me. Pictures are beautiful and wonderful, but I always tell people, like, wherever you are, if you're in a family gathering, take some video, because just hearing somebody's voice can really bring that deep, deep comfort. And so as I'm doing this podcast, I'm thinking, okay, not only is your voice out there forever, people can Google, research topics, the podcast episodes could come up and help them at any given point in time. Doesn't have to be in real time. But what else I thought was, my voice is always going to be here for my kids. And I mean, you all know Gabby and Andre get mentioned probably on every episode at some point in time because I'm so proud of them and grateful to be their mom. But I also realize now that my voice is always there for them. They can always, when I'm gone and they're missing me, and they better be missing me, but when they're gone and they're missing me, not only can they just tune in and just hear my voice, see my mannerisms, see how kind of goofy I can be on camera and very awkward, and hopefully have a laugh. But there's something else they can do, is they realize that their mom stood for something. Their mom had a voice that stood for people who didn't feel like they had their own voice, would stand up, would advocate, would support, would just feel like anyone who really needed to feel like they had someone and someone had their back, that would be their mom. And if and when they decided, they were going to have kids, well, they always knew whatever issue they were going through, they would be able to say, I wonder how my mom would handle this. And then they can scroll. Oh, episode 423 talks about this one. So I think that is such a gift. It's something that came to me later. It certainly wasn't any reason to start the podcast. It was just something that came up afterwards that I started considering how valuable even this is for me, and knowing hopefully it'll bring some value to them in the future. Of course, on the other hand, they might think, oh my God, turn her off. I've heard her voice for 35 years. I don't want to hear it anymore. But I'm hoping that's not the case. So as we wrap this up, I just want to say to every person who has listened, watched, shared, reviewed, coached me, Rory, messaged me, mentioned the podcast, I want to say thank you. You are not part of this journey. You are the journey. Your comments, your engagements, your questions, your disagreements, all of it is welcome here. This has actually been the scariest, most beautiful leap I have ever taken. And I'm not done. I'm just starting. So while this 100th episode is dedicated to my why, my hope is not just helping parents and their kids, but maybe you're stuck doing something you don't love. Maybe you're feeling called to, I don't know, there's something more. Maybe you're even thinking of starting a podcast. Listen, if I can do it, anyone can do it. And if you can just think one step at a time, one conversation at a time, and if you can imagine that you're talking to one person, you're helping one person, well, wouldn't it all be worth it? I think you should give it a try. Here is to raising teens, raising our voices, chasing our dreams. I will see you at episode 101. We are just getting started, and I cannot wait to celebrate 200 with all of you. Cheers. This is Cheryl Pankhurst signing off. See you next Friday.